What's good, everybody? Um, so today's video is about the New York Giants. Um, yeah, so we lost against the Jets, 13-10. Um, at this point, most Giants fans can blame. Most Giants fans can blame people or can blame the coaching staff. They can blame whoever they want, right? We always want to play the blame game, right? It has to be somebody's fault. Look, I don't blame the quarterback. Tyrod Taylor went down. Danny, and that's the thing. Danny DeVito haven't gotten the haven't gotten practice with the first team reps. He really hasn't. So if he goes out and plays like garbage, like he did, why are we taking out? Why are we taking it out on him? Right? That's why every single year you should have at least three quarterbacks. Every single year, the Giants always have two quarterbacks. I don't know why. We didn't really have to worry about that because we had Eli Manning, obviously. But when Eli Manning retired, it was like the same scenario. We would always keep two quarterbacks. That's how it always been. Now we have to shop for a quarterback. Colin Kaepernick is calling, but we're not gonna pick up Colin Kaepernick because that would look bad on the league, right? Like it would be crazy for the Giants to do that, but I don't think the Giants are going to sign Colin Kaepernick behind this offensive line. Even though the offensive line was a little bit shaky, but it wasn't terrible tonight or today. Tyrod Taylor is who he is. He's a backup quarterback. Just like Danny DeVito, he is who he is. He's a backup quarterback. Now, there's a possibility that Daniel Jones might be back week 10 against the Cowboys. Um, by then, I think our playoff hopes would be in smokes. I already said this before the season started. I saw the Giants taking a huge step back, and I said this around August. Um, and I'm right on the money. I'm right on the money. The Giants have a lot of problems. The defense played well today. I'm not gonna lie. The defense played well today. Um, the offense is a little bit lackluster. We don't have a true number one at receiver. Um, we have a number one. We have a number one option at tight end. And that's Danny. Not Danny. I just said Danny. That's Darren Waller, who's going to be facing his old team next Sunday in another primetime game. Um, so he might probably ball out in that game and still lose. You know. Um, now for this video, I just wanted to get that out of the way. My plan for the title for this video is "My Plan is Coming Along," and what I mean by my plan, I mean by I want Giants fans, content creators. I want everybody to listen up, right? When you're a bad team like the New York Giants, right? Because the Giants should have done their homework a long time ago. When they knew Eli Manning time was up, they should have at least they should literally said, you know what, we need a backup emergency quarterback, right? We need a backup emergency quarterback. We need to draft a quarterback mid to third, second round, So that way when Eli Manning does retire, we have a security blanket. They didn't do that. Now, I could go down the list of laundries that the Giants had awful quarterbacks before Eli Manning retired, or when Eli Manning retired, okay? They have gone through a lot of quarterbacks. None of them didn't pan out. Daniel Jones is not going to pan out. Because that's why you have to purposely lose these games. Because the more you lose, the more your draft stock is going to plummet, or your draft stock is going to rise up, right? And we need one of these quarterbacks in these drafts to at least take us to that next level. Now, obviously, we do need to fix that offensive line. The offensive line is probably the first thing that we need to address this offseason. There have been games where the offensive line did their part and held for the most part, and then there's games where they looked completely demolished. Whether that was going against good teams, superior teams like Dallas, the 49ers, the Seahawks, the Dolphins. And there was games where they kept Daniel Jones and Tyrod Taylor upright, and there was games where they looked terribly bad. Second thing is, in order for this team to move forward, we have got to look at ourselves in the mirror and stop blaming people, okay? Brian Daboll comes from that Bill Belichick, Nick Saban tree. We all know that. He was a special teams head coach. No. I think he was a special teams head coach for the Patriots. And then he moved up from special teams to offensive coordinator. And then that's when he went from the Patriots to the Bills. And then he spent like at least, a good 4 or 5 years there with Josh Allen that they drafted that year back in 2018, I believe. And, they mold him into that great quarterback that he is now, just like Pat Shurmur, just like Joe Judge, just like Ben McAdoo. They all suffered the same fate. 2 years, boom, out. 2 years, boom, out. Even though two of them out of the 5, 2 of them had a winning record, and what's his name? That was Pat Shurmur and Joe Judge. No, that was Pat Shurmur and Ben McAdoo. My bad. Like, we can't keep firing coaches every single 2 years. That's not how, that's not how that's not how it goes. You know what I'm saying? But is winning really the solution now? Like, if we win, like, what does that tell us? Like, we're gonna be stuck with Daniel Jones for another year. Like, he's gonna get hurt again because the play style that he has, or not the play style that he has, but his play style. He's not a standard pocket passer. He's not a Drew Brees. He's not an Eli Manning. He's not a Peyton Manning. He's one of these dual threat he's one of these dual threat running quarterbacks that can take off. He gets happy feet a lot. As soon as he senses pressure, because obviously our offensive line sucks, he takes off and run. Now, obviously, he got hurt by obviously our offensive line not doing their job and by not blocking. Like I blame a lot of that on Jerry Reese. When Jerry Reese was here, he did a fantastic job putting weapons around Eli Manning. But he failed to protect Eli because he knew that the offensive line that we had in those two Super Bowl wins was not going to last. You look at the Dallas Cowboys, you go back and look at that 2014 season, they were basically, you know, they basically had the best offensive line in football. They was calling that offensive line the Great Wall of China. That's when DeMarco Murray was chasing Eric Dickerson's record. So that offensive line, you could play any running back there, past, present. They can actually rush for over 2,000 yards, 3,000 yards if they wanted to in a single season because that offensive line was that good. Now, obviously, in due time, that offensive line did deteriorate a little bit, but it's still great to this day. The thing is, the Cowboys know how to put a team around Dak Prescott. The Giants have failed to do so. The Eagles know how to put a team around Jalen Hurts. The Giants have failed to do so. How come we don't hear, Cowboys have issues in the offensive line? How come we don't hear, the Eagles have issues in the offensive line? Because they have people in their organization that knows what they're doing. The Giants have people in their organization that don't know what the F they're doing. They really don't. They really don't. Because if they did, we wouldn't be in this predicament that we are right now. We would have been right now 5-2, like just like most of the great NFL teams that we have now. You know what I'm saying? Like we would have been up there with the 49ers, the Cowboys, the Eagles. You know what I'm saying? Like we wouldn't have to play fiddlestick to the damn Panthers and the Patriots. Like we are a well-run organization. Like I don't know how this organization got so bad so quick. I mean, I remember like 2 years ago, the 49ers was just like us. Now look at them. It's crazy. The people you keep around is the people who you are in real life. The Giants like to keep half-ass people, and from the looks of it, they're not going to change their ways. If the Giants can get competent, smart people in their organization, like my Knicks, look at my Knicks, for example. My Knicks was dog crap for years. For years. Even the Melo era, we were not even that competitive. We tried to be competitive, but we wasn't because obviously we were dealing with a lot of great teams. Miami Heat, the Pacers at the time with Paul George, the Big Three, Miami, Chicago Bulls, Josh Smith in Atlanta. Like we were dealing with a lot of great talent. Plus, Kobe, God rest his soul, and Dwight Howard in Orlando. So we were dealing with a lot of great talent. But as far as the New York Giants, after they won those 2 Super Bowls, it was a disaster. It was a disaster. We tried to heal it by drafting Odell Beckham Jr. That didn't work. He went on to win Rookie of the Year, and he went on to win Play of the Year, but we were out of the playoffs with a 7-9 record. Okay. We just don't know how to draft well. We don't. This offensive line should have been fixed the moment those 5 guys retired. Chris Snead, because I was watching a chronicle on NewYorkGiants.com on where, they set all the 5 guys, Rakeem McKenzie, Chris Snead, David Deal, Sean O'Hara. You know what I'm saying? They sat all of them down in a round table, and then they just shared their stories on how they got drafted, where they got drafted, where were you on draft night, etc., etc. You know what I'm saying? Most of them got drafted by the Giants. Some of them didn't. You know, like Sean O'Hara, he was an undrafted center. We picked him up from the Browns, I believe. We drafted McKenzie, we drafted David Deal, we drafted Chris Snee, who was Tom Coughlin's son-in-law. So when all of those guys retired, we had to retool. You know what I'm saying? We had to retool, and you know, we just completely forgot. Not really forgot, but we just didn't care because we were so good offensively. Like who gives a rip, you know? But now it's turning heads. You know what I'm saying? Like now it's like, damn, I really messed up. I should have built through the trenches. The defense will always carry. Like that's no given. We just need to put up points. We need a great offensive line or a decent offensive line, and we need to put weapons around Daniel Jones. But the way Daniel Jones plays, I don't know. I don't know. It's like this guy gets hurt constantly all the time. He can never stay healthy. Him and Tyrod plays the same, you know? Like you want to have a quarterback like Joe Burrow. He can run and he can pass. He don't have to rely mostly on his athleticism like Daniel Jones does, you know? I mean, Daniel Jones don't have the biggest arm, but he can run, you know? And that's one of his strong suits. So if Daniel Jones doesn't work here, God bless him. I wish him nothing but the best. I did say Daniel Jones was going to have a bounce back year this year. Right now, he's proving me wrong. I said the Giants was going to have not bounce back, but I said the Giants was going to have a step back this year because I thought last year was a little bit fishy. You know, all the games that they were winning, it was a little bit fishy, you know. But now that they're facing teams that they're finished the division or not finished the division, last year they were facing teams that was in the bottom of the barrel. You know, there was a few good wins against the obviously Seahawks, and then there was another good win against the Ravens. But this year you see the difference. Right, you see how the schedule can affect your team, because the Eagles look at the Eagles. Look at the Eagles' first 5 games. Look at the teams that they're going up against. They're going up against teams that have losing records. Imagine if all those teams had winning records. See how the Eagles' record would be. You know, like that's a true testament. Like anybody could be a poor, bad team. You know. A dead clock is right twice a day. You know what I'm saying? Like that figurative falls on people a lot. Like, oh, have you ever heard the saying, a dead clock is right twice a day? Why? Because it never moves. It's dead. You know, have no batteries in it. So it's always going to stay in that one, lane. You know what I'm saying? So if y'all want to give up on Daniel Jones, y'all can. But again, it doesn't really matter what quarterback we draft. He cannot face this onslaught of an offensive line. He just can't. I don't care if he's mobile. I don't care if he can throw better than Daniel Jones. I don't care if he can escape the pocket better than Daniel Jones. I don't care if he can dissect plays better than Daniel Jones. If we have this trash offensive line coming into next year's, we might as well just go 0-17. because I clearly don't see I clearly don't see this offensive line working. You know, and my coach used to tell me all the time, the offensive line is the hardest position to get. And I told him why, coach. He said, technique. It's all about technique. Like if you draft, like not draft, but if you pick up a tight end, all he has to do is just learn the playbook a few days, he'll get it. Wide receiver, same thing. Running back, same thing. But the offensive line is the one position you cannot fool around. Because once you don't have that protection, ask Patrick Mahomes. Ask Patrick Mahomes in that Super Bowl. Offensive line is important. It's very important. Offensive lineman determines whether you win or you lose games. Because when you have time to throw, it's the most beautiful thing in the world. When you have all that time to throw, it's the most beautiful thing in the world. But when you don't have time to throw and you're constantly under pressure and you have to throw it off your back foot, throw it across your body, ask Matthew Stafford today. He was running for his life because his offensive line is trash. It's trash. It's trash. So my plan is this. This season is a squash. Okay? This season is a squash. Not really a squash. Go out there, whether you try to win games or you lose games, that's on you. For me personally, I want the Giants to be inside the top 5. That's just how I feel. I want the New York Giants to be in that top 5 range. Because if the Giants want their quarterback, they're going to have to be within the 5. They're going to have to be in the confinement of that 5-round chain. I don't care if they pick number 3 again. I don't care if they pick number 2. I don't care if they pick number 4 or 5. They just got to be inside that 5 range, you know? And then after that, once you pick the quarterback that you like, you move on to the offensive side, which is the offensive line. I don't care if you have to pick 2 offensive linemen. You do that. You would tool this offensive line until you could get it right. You know, because my head coach used to tell me the offensive line is like a Rubik's Cube. It's kind of like a Rubik's Cube. You know those Rubik's Cubes that you have to find all the colors, you know, match them up. That's basically the offensive line. It's a Rubik's Cube. You have to mix and match and do all this, you know, like you have to, you know. Hold on, let me show y'all. I don't have I used to have a Rubik's Cube, but I gave it to my brother. This is not a Rubik's Cube. I don't know if y'all can see that. Oh no. This is not a Rubik's Cube. This is the box off of Pinhead. Off of Hellraiser. The Mint configuration box. But this is kind of like a Rubik's Cube. You go like, you know, you turn it around. You turn like this and you turn like that. I don't want to mess with it. I know it's not real. I mean, I saw one realer than this. This is like a toy plastic. But I saw one just like this. It looked like the one in the movie. Super real. But anyways, but yeah, the offensive line is like a Rubik's Cube, you know? You just gotta mix and match and mix and match and mix and match. Okay? And find the right colors. Once you do that, the Giants can go back to their old ways, how they used to be. Okay? I'm not gonna blame nobody. I know we suck. I mean, I picked the Jets to win this game. I should have bet on this game, but you know, it is what it is. So, because I need to talk about my Knicks, boy. But anyways, man, I'm not gonna hold y'all too long. I just wanted to come in here and say thank y'all for tuning in and listening to me. I know a lot of Giants fans are not gonna, you know, take it to heart. I know they have their own opinions, but just keep losing, because if we go into next season the same way we came into next season, I mean this season, it's gonna be another long season again, and we don't want that. Okay, we don't want that. Yeah, so like, comment, subscribe. Until next time, take care of yourself and each other.